Hey everybody, this is Sabrina. Welcome back to my channel. I will be doing another June favorite book for my reading journal. This one is Drowning by TJ Newman. It's not a book I normally read because it's suspense, but I am so glad that I read it. I just loved it. From the first sentence of the book, it was just go. Like edge of your seat, go. And it was awesome. I loved it. So it has to do with a crash in the ocean. So I decided to do some of the seaweed from a seaweed stamp. At least I think it's seaweed. To me, it's seaweed or kelp, or either way, it matches the ocean theme. So I'm using it, and it's from a really old Everyday Explorers stamp set. I'm using a dark blue, now a teal, and I also use kind of a warm gray to create my seafloor. And I really love how it came together. I did have to take off the stamp pad a few times to get like the top portion and also in the middle where the coil is. I then added in a black wavy pattern all to the bottom to kind of define it just a little bit more. Once I have that, I'm going to go ahead and add some really large stickers that I found. PNG stickers that I found just doing some search, on the internet. I have one that's the Hawaii Islands, and I'm pretty sure this book took place in Hawaii or just off the coast of Hawaii is where it crashed. I kind of messed up the sticker on the big island and made a little bump, but once you have these stickers down, they do not peel up. So I just kind of rubbed out the bump as best as I could and moved on. I also decided to use a gigantic airplane right in the middle of my page. I thought that would be something totally fun and different. It did take up a lot of space, but I'm still able to add in everything that I need. So it worked out. I also want to add in the little gap above the big island, I want to add WTF because seriously, most of the time I was like, what is happening? I'm already a little nervous to fly, and then just flying over the ocean and all the crazy things that happened in this book. Definitely thinking WTF many times in the book, but it still was an incredible book, and there was a lot of central themes of relying on each other despite our differences and how fragile life is. And that's what I really enjoyed. And also just how suspenseful this book was and atmospheric. And I'll talk about that more in my thoughts. So I've stamped WTF, and I also stamped here because I'm going to use that to point to the WTF. And I went ahead and stamped all plans out the window because that's definitely what happened in this book. Everything that could go wrong went wrong, plus more. And I also wanted to stamp something over on the left-hand side, and I wasn't sure what it was going to be. I wanted to put "You've got to be kidding me," but I knew that that wasn't going to fit. It was just too much. So I decided to just stamp "No way," and I stamped a ton of different airplanes. Not quite sure why I decided to do that, but I did, because then once I stamped those, I was like, well, where else am I going to put more airplanes? And I decided I'm not going to put any more airplanes. So they're only in that one little spot, and that's just it's gonna have to work. And I think in the end, it all came together. I stamped the My Rating and drew my little box so that way I could put the book number and the genre, and then I can work on the synopsis over on the right-hand side. I tend to just always do the synopsis on the right-hand side, which just totally works for me. It just design-wise works for me. Okay, so the synopsis. Flight 1421 crashes just 6 minutes after takeoff into the Pacific Ocean. As the evacuation begins, there's an engine that explodes, forcing the evacuation to stop because it's just too dangerous. The plane is taking in water, and there's still a handful of passengers inside the plane. The plane has now closed, the doors have closed, and the plane is sinking. It sinks to the bottom with 12 passengers trapped inside, and the plane is 200 feet below the surface, and time is ticking until they run out of air. One of the passengers is named Will Kent, who is an engineer, and his daughter, Shannon. And on the surface, the best chance for their survival is Chris Kent, Shannon's mom, and Will's estranged wife. Chris leads an elite rescue team, like an underwater type of industrial type of team. That's her job. And she knows how to save her family and the other passengers. Time is not on their side with the air running out, and also where they landed is on the edge of a sea cliff. Can the passengers make it out and survive? And I thought there is, these, not eclectic. Eclectic feels like the wrong word, but they're really diverse, amazing characters that felt very real, very dimensional, and I'm going to put that in my thoughts as well. And I really just absolutely enjoyed this book, and I definitely think it's going to be in my top 5 books for the year, because I was not expecting this, and I was hesitant to think that I would enjoy it, but oh my goodness, I did. I loved the story, and I loved the characters. I think that's really the thing that kind of made it for me, is just how awesome these characters were. So my first thought is, from the first sentence, and I capitalized that, I was hooked. The suspense and edge of your seat feeling, that was amazing throughout. And again, the characters were very relatable and diverse and had all these different stories, but they all managed to come together. And again, I could picture everything. It was just atmospheric, and everything that was happening, even the gory parts, because there is, I think, some gory parts as far as the crash and what happens afterwards. It definitely does make, as far as I'm concerned, makes you appreciate the ocean more, and how much we don't know about the ocean, and how for humans it's very dangerous to go dive deep into the ocean. And I loved that, again, that there was this really big theme of working together with other people despite what differences you might have. And they all stayed focused on the theme of survival. And it again reaffirmed the fragileness of life and how precious it is, and how we shouldn't take too much for granted, because time is all we have. And that is the quote that I picked. I picked, time is luck. You grab it, you hold on tight, and you be there. You have to be there for it. It's going with or without you, and no one knows for how long. No one knows. So that's a quote I picked. It was a little bit of a tight squeeze, but I got it in there. And then there was a second quote that I really wanted to squeeze in, so I decided to put it in down on the bottom of the right page on the left-hand side. And so I'm just going to put that in a minute. I did want to add some green, since the big island sticker has green. So I just used a scattering of dots stamped to add that little bit of green just to balance it out. And I filled in my rating. Obviously, it is 5 stars, and the book number is 73 out of 100. And that quote is, first, not last, are the tallies on life's scorecard. So I really wanted to include that quote, but I could not fit the whole thing, so I'm just going to read it to you from my iPad. Life is measured in birthdays, graduations, weddings, first steps, a first crush, a first kiss. First, not last, are the tallies on a life scorecard, but as Will tucked a piece of her dark brown hair behind Shannon's ear, he only thought of the last. And again, reaffirming that theme of life is precious and you never know what could happen. So I wrapped up by putting the genre of suspense and thriller, and I hope you guys have enjoyed. I would love a thumbs up or a subscribe if you are new to my channel. Have a great day. Bye.